Some people get easily overwhelmed. And when I say some people, I mean me. I get easily overwhelmed. Sometimes too much is coming at me, or I'm trying to focus on one thing and the little stuff will trip me up like nobody's business. What happens when you get overwhelmed, and what do you do to actually finish the projects that you started? I put a video out about how to start something new, how to get ready for it, how to study, how to take notes. And one of the comments I had was, hey, what do you do if you are great at launching stuff but you're not great at finishing it? Well, I used to do that a lot, and even now sometimes there's things that I don't finish. So I have some advice and some ideas that I can help you. If you're the kind of person who launches but doesn't always finish, there's a few different ways that that manifests. One is you maybe have launched too many. Panic mode. Panic mode comes in and we go, we have to try a lot of different things. That could be one of the reasons why you're not finishing, is because you're going all over the place just trying to reach out at all the different possibilities and whatnot. That's one reason. Another way this might happen is maybe you have launched, but maybe there was just not enough of a project to begin with. If you start something and you've got kind of an idea, but it's not really a big idea and it's not big enough to really sustain itself, that could be a thing. I launched a project around comic books and nerdy stuff and video games and all that, and it hasn't gone anywhere. And it hasn't gone anywhere because I realized I don't have a sustainable, endless amount of things that I feel like talking to other people about with regards to those things. I thought it would be a fun project. I like nerdy stuff, but not enough that I want to make it a passion and bang my chest and run out and get more people to talk about it. Says a guy in a Rogue One shirt. So it's weird that my very first piece of advice is that sometimes killing a project is what you're supposed to do, and that it's not you're supposed to sustain it. You're supposed to launch and actually execute and kill the project, right? So don't ever think that killing a project is a bad answer. Next category of project is a should project. You did it because you should do it. It doesn't mean that you've committed to it. You've said you made the commitment, but you didn't. And as I've said before, should means won't. Should means won't. And so if it's a should project, you've got to ask yourself, is it teaching yourself French or something like that? What is this project that you're supposed to be doing that doesn't exactly merit real commitment from you? Okay, so if you've taken care of all the categories that mean you shouldn't have done it in the first place and you've got to delete those, what should be left are the things that you've committed to, right? Now beyond this, there's a couple other reasons that projects stall. One is that you don't have good processes in place. Two is that the problem is starting to feel, or the project is starting to feel like an overwhelming problem and you've got to do something about it. Those are two really different things, but we'll get at them both the same kind of way. I got to jump in the shower after this, but let's finish this off. When things get a little stuck, when you can't quite get the project finished, there's a few things usually missing. Most of them happen to be process related. So I'm going to give you a scenario to walk through every time you get stuck on a project. So number one, open up Evernote or a physical notepad. I prefer a notepad, always physical paper and pen because of kinesthetic learning. Start writing down this. Where am I? Where do I need to be? What's the process look like right now? Start listing it out. What do I have? What do I need? And if you don't know, skip some parts. I don't know, and leave a question mark here and there, but start framing it somewhere. I went to get my driver's license renewed after my birthday because it expired on my birthday. And as I went there, they said, you can't. You have a few outstanding tickets and bills and things like that. And so I was like, oh crap, what do I do? She gave me a list. That list basically tells me all the things I had to do. So I had to go to some websites, I had to call some places, I had to pay some bills. No big deal. But it's like, no, my driver's license. It's no big deal. Where am I? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do to get there? It's three simple questions. Where am I? Where do I intend to go? Or where do I want to go? Or where do I need to go? And what do I need to do to get there? That's it. And to get your projects going, you need a baseline of where you are with stuff. You've got to start to take documentation of what's going on and start looking through it all. Then from there, the next set of processes that you need is you have to jot down, so what's going to keep this thing moving? How do I keep it on track? What are my commitments? What's my process going to look like? Once you have a process laid out for anything, everything works better. I'll tell you how I do it. I use Evernote. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say that you have to get your project launched. There's a couple tools that I might use. I mentioned Evernote. Evernote's what I use as my extended brain. So if I've got to write down a process that I want to repeat, I'll write it in Evernote. I used to use Google Keep. So if any of you know me for a long time say, wait, I thought you used Google Keep. I did. But what I don't like is the inability to do good copying and moving of that information. It looks pretty, but it doesn't move nicely. And you can use Evernote with a lot of other services, like if this, then that. Pay no attention to that. That's just techie stuff. Evernote. Process notes should be as simple as possible, but as detailed as you need them to be. So for instance, if one of the processes you need to keep your project going is write a weekly blog post, I'll make it up, something I would do. Then I would write the process out of what that takes. Set up 20 minutes for brainstorming notes, set up 40 minutes to write the post, blah, 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 blah. Whatever the process is, dun, 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 dun. Make it as simple as it needs, as you can, but as informational as you need it to be to remind you, I'm ready to sit down and do my thing, now what am I gonna do? Lastly, and this sounds so dumb, but it's so important. If you are having trouble finishing a project, it's probably because you don't have it on your calendar. What's not on your calendar is not a commitment, right? What's not on your calendar is not a commitment, so get it onto the calendar, put it there and keep it there and use it and do it. And don't set like a constant reminder kind of a thing, because you will forget it. The minute you set something to repeat weekly, a lot of times you'll forget it, unless you get really disciplined. But in the starting point of where you're lost and where you're having trouble, schedule it really specifically into really specific parts of your day. Not a, hey, don't forget to do this today, but here's my hour, or my 40 minutes, or my 20 minutes. Don't forget, you can do this thing in 5-minute bites if you have to. Everything can be done in little small scraps for the most part, unless you're like a baker or something like that, and maybe you do need a little stretch of time. But for the most of us, that's how to get yourself out on the go. So I know it's hard because I know that what you have to do to get that project going, what you have to do to keep that project going, is it's really important that you not only kill all the bad projects, destroy all the projects you really weren't supposed to work on in the first place, get restarted on the ones that you need to, and build a process in place for those other ones. What also has to happen is you have to build a level of discipline, and without that level of discipline, nothing I talked about matters. You really, at the very base of it all, it's a simple answer, not a tricky one, it's discipline. Once you clear the decks, you have more space for discipline. So look for the clutter in your life and pull that out first. I gotta go jump in that shower. I'll catch you later. You know what should be a step in any of your processes where you're working on deciding stuff? Go jump in a shower. You know, you get a lot of clarity when you're just there under the water and you can't allow yourself to be distracted. It's pretty good. All right, last steps on this. Let's just wrap it up. So you first have to go through the process of deciding which of your projects to can. The ones you decide you're gonna keep, you have to go through that quick process of where am I, where do I need to go, what are the steps to get there. Then you have to go and you have to organize and build the systems that might be missing that are keeping you from doing that process, and then asking whenever you're stuck on the other parts. And finally, you have to keep your commitment by putting it onto the calendar and disciplining yourself to actually execute. Not in this someday maybe part of your calendar, but into this hour or this 20 minutes or this 5 minutes. This is what I'm gonna do. That's the process. That's how to get your launched project completed and out there to the rest of the world. That's how you get it to go from that I've started it to now it's real, okay?